Hello, and welcome to Handling History. I'm Theo. We're going to be continuing my series highlighting my early British coin collection, which is long overdue. I'll link to the previous parts of this series below, where I cover my earlier Anglo Saxon coins in my collection. This is the fourth episode, and we're nearing kind of the end of the Anglo Saxon kings. I'm pretty excited about this one. There's lots to cover, kind of in my previous videos. I've had to kind of explain some of the varieties available, while only highlighting the one piece that I did have in my collection for Aethelred II, which is the king that we're going to be covering in this series, the final kind of proper king of the Anglo-Saxons, who did reign for a long time. I'm fortunate to have 9 pieces, kind of which cover all the primary types that you're actually going to see. And then for this ruler too, a typeset is, easily kind of, it's decently easy to put together a typeset. And it is a great starting point, kind of when you're looking to add an Anglo-Saxon piece to your coin collection, or maybe just a jumping off point to kind of start collecting a British medieval coinage. So kind of a little bit of a background with the king himself. So Aethelred kind of was one of the longest reigning monarchs of England. He ruled for over 35 years. Did hold the throne for 2 reigns, separated by a brief interregnum when the Vikings were invading. There was a decent kind of peace for a good amount of time, which was enjoyed by his predecessors. And, there's kind of multiple schools of thought about what kind of drove the Viking invasions, whether it be climate change, etc. You did have kind of near constant Viking incursions into English territory over his reign, which did end up leading to his disposition by Sven Forkbeard, who was the father of Ethelred's successor, Knut. So Ethelred's also known, Aethelred is the Unready, which is actually more of a reference to his poor advisors. So the king's strategy of dealing with the Viking invaders was to kind of a mixed strategy of both fighting and paying tribute to preserve manpower. So due in part kind of the large amount of money that was paid to the Viking invaders, there are lots of, this is a nice one, there's lots of Ethelred's coinage available to collectors today, with large hoards found both in England and obviously on the continent too, in kind of, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden as well. So kind of going through the coin types, just going to be going through order of reference, which, somewhat aligns with, but isn't necessarily perfectly aligned with chronological order, just to match the catalogs. So kind of the first type, which is these 3 up here, that's represented in the collection, is called the first hand type. So they issued 3 different versions with the hand of God on the reverse. Let's see if we can get this to focus here. Come on, there you go. So it does show the hand of God on the reverse. And then so there's 3 varieties: first hand, second hand, and benediction hand. They're distinguishable in the first and second hand between the clouds below. You have flat, square, kind of crescent clouds, such as this one, are the first hand type. On the second hand, you've got little winglets almost on the end. I don't have one of those versions. All my coins are first hand type. And then you have the benediction hand variety as well, which has the finger down, kind of, I guess I can flip hands again, kind of in this hand position. This is a right-facing bust example. There is right and left-facing busts that you can pick up, and then there's a bunch of varieties too. So you see the 2 clouds here with the dot below. So the right hand facing bust. This one's a little bit more beat up. And you see as well with just a little bit different on the clouds on this one. Again, another right facing bust. So the references for this one, something to look at, are this is North 766 and Spink 1144. And this one coin was minted around 978 to 985 AD. So this first one, let's make sure I'm looking at the right ones. I'm trying to read the. This one's from London. This one from Lewes, which I'm going to point out. So this piece is from Lewes, minted under Leofstan, and just from pricing, a coin that's potentially a die match of this one, very similar, sold for about 550 US in a Baldwin auction in 2016. The Canterbury piece, now that I've got my pieces all sorted out, is this one. This one's a little bit more common. It's probably maybe about 400. This one is a little beaten up though. And then this one, piece from London, around the same value, can also beaten up. This one does have quite a nice reverse though. So there's that set. So then the second type we're going to go to is the crux type. On the reverse, it does have the inscription of CR, V, or UX, crux, within the arms of the cross on the back that you see there. Spin it for a little bit more clarity. The legend, kind of very typical, starting with Aethelred. You actually have the name of the king, or sorry, I guess just basically for all of Aethelred's coins, you have the name of the king here on the obverse, and so Aethelred Anglox, English, and then you as well have the moneyer's name, and then the mint name here as well. So this one is this one's Ethelstan. It's a little bit it's Edistan, but it's Ethelstan, M-O, moneyer at P-I-N-T, which the P is actually the letter Win. So Winchester is actually the mint mark there. This one's quite nice. And then the second one from this series. So same thing, Aethelred, Anglox, and I'm trying to read again. This one, there's the Win again, Godwin, G-O-D, Win, I-N, moneyer at L-U-N-D, London. That one's a little easier to read. Yeah, and just for Anglo Saxon letters, this D is actually the TH, so you have like Ethel Red. So it's the same thing on this side. Ethelstan. Lots of these are missing letters and stuff too. Usually, like your moneyers or the people actually minting the coins or carving them might not even be, letters. So, differences in die and legends and stuff are very, very common. So this one references North 770 or Spink 1148. This one's minted from 991 to about 997 AD. Again, the Winchester piece, this one is probably worth about 800 US at auction. It is quite nice, quite high quality. And then this one from London, probably about $300. And then again, too, like outside of London and Canterbury, typically you have higher values, just given that the production from those mints was just that much smaller. And moving into the third type, kind of got tucked away in the bottom here, is actually the long cross. So to me, this is kind of, your prototypical Anglo Saxon coin, especially when I started collecting this series. So this is the long cross. If you visit a museum, kind of have any exhibits on the Vikings or like a drama on medieval history, this is kind of the coin that you're going to see used. There's lots of Danish imitations of this type as well. So this one, you have the bareheaded bust, very Celtic kind of influence on the hairstyle there, I find at least. And then on the reverse, you have the fantastic long cross that goes all the way to the edges of the coin. I really, really like this one. So, yeah, usual, same legends, kind of as we went through before. Aethelred. Can't read this one. I'm trying to look through the camera also, reading this one. Yeah, Aethelred Rex, King of Angel, Angl. And then on the obverse again, or on the reverse rather, we do have the Moneyer's name. And then this one would be Aethelweird. There's a win again, weird. Moneyer at London. Sorry, I can actually see this one. Aethelweird, Moneyer, LVND. It's mentioned under Aethelweird at London. And then this one was minted at Lincoln under Grimm. GRIMM MOLINCOL. Jumbled letters there, but so Grimm at Lincoln. So these date from about 997 to 1003 AD. Then, references are North 774 and Spink 1151. Both of these pieces are pretty high quality, so probably kind of about $600-ish. But, the piece in lower quality, they are relatively affordable. You can definitely pick an example up for about $150. Then moving on, second to last coin type of Aethelred. We've got the helmeted type, so very easily recognizable. Wearing the radiate helmet there. Left face is bust, and you've got an intricate cross design with little threads kind of within the arms that cross. The bust style, definitely to me at least, is reminiscent of kind of the later Roman imperial solidi of the 5th century, with the shoulder armor. And this one's really nice, as just it's retained a lot of that original intricate design. You've got kind of the cross carry, some of those design notes from the long cross penny, just adding a little bit with the trefoil designs between the arms. So this piece was under Leofrich in London, and the references for this type are North 775 and Spink 1152. The date range for this piece is pretty big. Kind of encompasses the entire reign of Aethelred from 978 to 1016, and you can get a piece of that quality for around $300. And then the final piece, the final coin type, is a little bit boring to me at least. It's a little bit more abstract. It's last small cross type, very typical naming conventions with the small cross on the reverse. This one's minted under Osfram in Lincoln. So this type was copied by Knut as well and minted on the continent, some Scandinavian mints. So you do have a lot of, contemporary fakes, or not really fakes, but contemporary imitations from the mainland. And then the bust is very reminiscent to the earlier Crooks type. And just, as I said, it's become a little bit more abstract now. Again, legend. You have Aethelred, King of the English, Aethelred Rex Anglox, and this piece is a little bit of a variety. It does have the circle behind the bust there, so typically they come with nothing behind there. From what I've seen, that doesn't add any value or anything. I could easily be wrong, but looking around, to me that doesn't seem to have impacted pricing. So then this was the last coin type minted under Aethelred from around 1009 to 2017. And then the references for that last guy are North 777 and Spink 1154. And then that one's worth probably around $250 US. So yeah, pretty much overall, the reign of Aethelred produced some very intricate and interesting coin types. And it's a really good starting point to the early British coin series. And it's a great place to pick one up if you are looking to have a single example from the period. I think I mentioned it kind of before, but the most affordable mints to look for are definitely London and Canterbury. And then if you begin to look outside that too, you can expect prices to increase accordingly, just as the availability of pieces on the market shrinks, just with lower mintage. And yeah, thanks for watching. Please check out my other videos, cover a broad range of art history and coins. This has been Handling History, and I'm Theo.